so much. You know, folks, this is I've been to many meetings of America's health insurance plans, but this is the first time that I've been across the street and across the other side of the issues from them. I'm ashamed that I let myself get caught up in deceitful and dishonest public relations campaigns that work so hard that hundreds of thousands of our citizens have died, and millions of others have lost their homes and been forced into bankruptcy just so that a very few corporate executives and their Wall Street masters and those investors could become very, very rich. As I told the U.S. Senate committee in June, the higher up the corporate ladder I climbed, the more I could see how insurance companies confuse their customers and dump the sick so they can satisfy those Wall Street investors, their masters. I described how insurance companies make promises they have no intention of keeping, how they flout regulations designed to protect consumers, and how they make it nearly impossible to understand and often even to obtain the information that consumers need. I also told the committee how the industry has conducted duplicitous and well-financed PR and lobbying campaigns every time that Congress has tried to reform the U.S. healthcare system, and how its current behind-the-scenes efforts are intended to shape reform in ways that benefit those investors far more than average Americans. I noted that just as the industry did 15 years ago when it led the effort to kill the Clinton healthcare reform plan, it is using the same range of tactics to spread lies and disinformation to scare Americans away from the very reform that would benefit them most. Make no mistake, folks, insurance companies, despite their public assurances to be good faith partners with the President and with Congress, they've been at work for years, laying the groundwork for devious and often sinister campaigns to manipulate public opinion and to do whatever it takes, regardless of the ethics, to influence lawmakers' votes. One of the reasons I left my job at Cigna was because I did not want to be involved in yet another PR and lobbying campaign to kill or to gut reform. I finally came to question the ethics of what I had done and been a part of for nearly 2 decades. The health insurance industry goes to great lengths to keep its involvement in these campaigns hidden from public view. But I know, from having been in the industry for many years, that the people who are here in Chicago today have always been full partners in developing strategies to derail any reform that might interfere with their ability to increase their company's profits. I have said throughout the summer and the early fall that we all need to be alert to how the insurance industry and its allies are working to influence their opinions and lawmakers' votes. I know from years of experience as an industry PR executive how effective insurance companies have been in using scare tactics to turn public opinion away from any reform efforts that would threaten their profitability. Folks, we must realize that when we hear isolated stories of long waiting times to see doctors in Canada and allegations that care in other systems is rationed by government bureaucrats, the insurance company has written the script. And we must realize that every time that we hear that we'll be heading down the slippery slope towards socialism if Congress creates a public health insurance option to compete with private insurance companies, the insurance industry wrote that too. Every time you hear about the shortcomings of what they call government-run health care, remember this: what we have now in this country and what the insurance companies are determined to keep in place is Wall Street-driven health care. And know that we already have one of the most insidious means of rationing care in the whole world, not by people who we can hold accountable on election day, but by insurance company executives like the ones here in Chicago today, who answer only to a very few wealthy investors and hedge fund managers who care far more about earnings per share than your health and well-being. The insurance companies say they are bringing solutions to the table this year. But if Congress goes along with their so-called solutions and fails to create at least a public insurance option to compete with them, the bill that it sends to the President might as well be called the Insurance Industry Profit Protection and Enhancement Act. And folks, that's just what they're trying to do over there across the street. And folks, Folks, it's not too late to keep the insurance companies from winning, but time is running short. We need to think of the coming weeks as some of the most important weeks in the history of this country. We need to think that way because they will be. And we must redouble our efforts to make sure that members of Congress put our interests above those of private health insurance companies and others who view reform as just another way to make more money. If we want to take back control of our healthcare system from the big for-profit insurance companies that have helped to wreck it, we must take back control of this debate from them and their allies. We must begin to talk in ways that reach our friends and our neighbors who have been influenced by those lies. We need to tell them that we can continue to have a system that allows 45,000 Americans to die every year, one every 12 minutes, because they don't have health insurance. Or we can have a system that will make sure that their sons and their daughters are not one of them. We must remind our family members and our friends and neighbors why we're having this debate in the first place. We must tell our friends and others who are worried needlessly about a government takeover of our healthcare system that what we all should really be concerned about is the Wall Street takeover that has occurred while we were not paying attention. It is that takeover that has led to more and more Americans being forced into the ranks of the uninsured. It is that takeover that has forced millions more of us into the ranks of the underinsured because insurance companies are making us pay thousands of dollars out of our own pockets before they'll pay a dime. It is that takeover that has forced many of our neighbors out of their homes and into bankruptcy. And it is that takeover that is causing more and more small businesses to stop offering coverage to their employees because of the exorbitant premiums that Wall Street-driven insurance companies are charging them. Folks, the industry will be pulling out all of the stops over the next several weeks to kill or to gut reform. So it will be up to those of us who understand the importance of Congress doing the right thing and getting it right this time to make sure, and we need to make sure that it actually does. My call to action then is that we pledge to each other that we will let our members of Congress know we expect them to do the right thing. For us, not for the special interests across the street and their army of lobbyists. We need to tell them that it is time that they take action to ensure that America finally joins the rest of the developed world in making sure that all of its citizens, our brothers and sisters, our sons and our daughters, our neighbors and our co-workers, finally have access to affordable care and quality care. Thank you, Ruth.